All right, I think we are ready to start. And Magnus has verified that we are being heard. That's excellent. So welcome to Future on this webinar, and welcome to our clients and customers. Welcome to my team. I'm Stig Velsø-Knudsen. I'm the CEO of Future on. I wish you welcome to this, where we're going to go through the version 8. So today's webinar is focused on gaining valuable insights into our new version 8. We're thrilled to have you join us, and we go into the reasons driving this upgrade and explore the benefit it brings. Just for the record, this webinar is being recorded, so if you are not okay being part of that recording, then I will have to ask you to leave. However, the recording will be used for the purpose that is stated. Throughout the session, our dedicated team of both product and customer success will guide you and us through a comprehensive overview of the upgrade journey, providing you with the first-hand insights into the enhancement and optimization that version 8 introduces. And it's often not stated, but I think this is one of the bigger ones that we've ever had. The agenda of the day is understanding the upgrade. So basically, what's the driving force behind this new version and the strategic advantages it offers. There's going to be a live demo, which is always great, where we're going to see the 8.0 features. And then I hope there is questions, comments coming into the chat channel, especially through that one, and that will be delivered by Jostein. There will be practical information on the upgrade, so providing essential guidance and tips to see how this actually goes from 7.1, 7.0 to 8.0. And then there will be some under the cover what's happening on drilling and wells. So basically offering a sneak peek into some of the functionalities that we are thinking about working on. Anyway, so we'll see. Throughout the webinar, we encourage you to do active participation. So please ask questions. Please use the chat channel if you have anything you're wondering about, and ask us questions. We love that. So we're here to ensure that you gain the valuable insights that I promised initially, and then maximizing the benefits of this upgrade for your operations. So with no further ado, let's embark on this journey and see what Jostein, Greg, and Tim has in store for us. So Jostein, I guess you are next.
All right, thank you so much, Stig. Just let me know when you see my screen. It should. Oh, perfect. So I'm going to start showing some of the new features in the admin section of FieldTwin 8.0. So, and then we're going to move into the project and talk a little bit about the architecture and functionality and speed. But in the admin panel, we have done some small changes. And one of them is that we have optimized the tree view concerning metadata and object settings and so on, which has a much leaner interface, easier to navigate, and faster to present all these complex metadata links and definitions. In the API token, now we have the ability to actually assign a user role. And the point about this is previously, if you gave an API token away, it was basically a token that gave them access to everything. So now you have the ability to limit this access by assigning a user role to the token. And for that, then you can then have external dev teams accessing more targeted areas of your project account. In addition to that, we also heard the need of generating user groups. So every time you invite someone into your account, you can then assign a group to that person. And of course, then if you have a project when you invite someone into your project, you have the ability to invite an entire group. So now I can see that the drilling group has one more user except from Christian, and that's me. So it will be much easier to invite groups of people, and then you can then assign these groups based on departments or functionality and so on. In the dashboard itself, we also are now showing the links of every project. So if you start linking parent projects and have a lot of child projects, this structure might become pretty complex over time. We have seen some pretty big projects that have a lot of links, and sometimes it's easy to get lost. So this is the first version of this, to then be able to show you the relationships between these different projects. And you can also navigate your projects using this graph. So right now I'm looking at the GIS linked project. If I click that project, I can see it from the viewpoint of the 8.0 demo project. And you can then see that the tree view also changes accordingly. So you will then be able to load the project directly from here, from the graph. So that will make it easier to get that overview, and also be able to open a project to take a look at it, and so on. When it comes to workflow, we have gone away from having workflow as a separate app. So now we have integrated workflow into the dashboard. So that means that when you are in the dashboard area, you have workflow here. So now you can switch very easily between the list of project, the details of the project, and the tasks that are assigned to this project. And it will be a much better way to navigate, instead of having to go back and forth through two different apps. And inside workflow, we also added some new features. And one of them is the ability to actually create a start date. It seems trivial, but it was one of those things. So now you have start date and end date. So you can then plan for a task into the future. In addition to that, we also have the ability to look at the tasks in the calendar and then click it and get a list showing every task that ends on a particular day. And of course, you can then open these tasks from that view as well. So that's also to give you a little bit more overview. So if I look at this task here called Present 8.0 in webinar, which is ending today, I can then click that inside my calendar, take a look at it, and actually open the project and take a look at what that task sends me to. And hopefully I'm at the right place. So this is 8.0. This is a demo project that I have created. So it doesn't really show any real data per se. And here I have some slides. So I thought, instead of skipping back and forth between PowerPoint and FieldTwin, I just brought the PowerPoint slides into FieldTwin to make it smoother. So before I start on the back end and the purpose of the upgrade, I just want to show that we now have navigational controls on bitmaps. This has been one of those things that we have had a lot of asks for. So now you don't need to use the coordinate system to move images around. You can move them freely around using this navigation gizmo, and also up and down, of course, in 3D space. So that's a huge win. So why did we do the new backend? So it's a total rewriting of the entire engine that stores and loads data. So we have switched from a monolithic storage system to a storage system that basically stores all the events in a stream that eventually leads up to your project at this given time. So everything you do from you start a project until you are in the now is there. All the records, all the events that has led to this project is stored. And that will give you the ability to actually go back and take a look at everything you have done. So the access to the full history of the project the ability to create versioning, real versioning, with a real timestamp, making absolutely sure that everything that is in the project when you did the version will be there when you restore that version. All the change logs for every object inside the project is now handled as a core functionality to make sure that everything has consistency all over. And this also leads to that we can load this data a lot more faster than we used to. So in 7.1, all these different models, if it were connections, metadata, staged assets, geometry, were stored in separate collections and everything queued up. But now in 8.0, we can load all the data at once. And it's also faster to save the data the same way because we all now store everything in one request. So we have been looking at this and tried to kind of figure out what is the actual difference in speed based on the user experience when you load something in FieldTwin. And we have come up with an average factor between 7 and 10 times. So if I click this green pin here, I have a document signed to it, which is a demo. It's a video showing the loading of the same project in 8.0 and 7.0. So I thought we'd just take a look at it. So in 8.0, it's done. And 7.0 is still loading. It's the same amount of data on the same network, on the same machine, in the same browser. So 10 seconds. So this is the, the difference on a small project. In a bigger project, it will even be more apparent. So the speed difference is significant with this release, and we hope that will make some of your lives better. In addition to this, we have done a lot of optimization. And this is optimization that goes into how we render and visualize different objects inside FieldTwin. In 7.1, all the different pipelines were rendered one by one. So you could actually almost see it when you open the project, that the pipelines came in one by one. But in 8.0, we create clusters of multiple connections so we can bulk render them. And it will be much, much faster. When you multi-select something, you will see the difference. The 3D assets is also optimized, where we try to limit the number of, we call the draw calls, which is basically how we render a 3D object in our 3D engine. So we have been doing quite a lot of work to optimize these models to make sure that they load faster. So that's a lot of optimization done on the front-end application as well. When it comes to the create and opening of versions, I can actually show that to you. So in your tool menu up here, you will have this ability. And one of them is to create a version, one is open a version, and then you have the project timeline. If I say open a version, I will see all the different versions that has been stored on this project, and also the date and the timestamp. And I can then go in and say, let's open this version. And if you click that, it will open this project from that particular time in the event history. So now I can take a look at it. So this is absolutely the same model that existed of that time. The same goes when you create a version. So if I want to create a version right now, I can just go in and say create a version. I can give it whatever name I want during the webinar, and then a description, and then create a version. And like that, it's stored and available for later. I can also go into the project timeline and say, of all the timeline of this project, where do I want to open it? So let's say I want to open it yesterday at 9:45. It's a very, very specific time and date. And then I can press open, and the project will then open from that particular time. And I can take a look at it. This is what it looked like from that same viewpoint that I hadn't generated the model entirely yet. But this gives you the flexibility to navigate these versions at a very, very custom way. and you will be able to create real versions. And I know that has been a big want for a long time. So now we can proudly say that we actually support real versioning inside FieldTwin. So I'm going to show you some more. So I'm just going to go as shortcuts to my reservoir. So this is a reservoir which I have put together with different types of files, and did some color mapping to visualize my areas of interest. And again, I want to emphasize the beautiful new controller on the bitmap. It allows you to do things that you want to do to make these visualizations easier. Moving a bitmap around gives you the ability to highlight areas and make these visualizations and presentations that you want. So again, this is very good. If you look at the additional features inside FieldTwin, again, another slide. We have something to cover for the minutes that I have left, so I will just continue. This PowerPoint will be available for you that want to take a closer look at it. So if I go up here, some of the new stuff that we have added in 8.0 is the ability to snap shapes to wells. So previously, we were able to snap shapes. That could be polygons, primitives to assets, and also to pipelines in the form of flat surfaces or tubes. But now you can also snap them to a well. And that could be useful for many reasons, to visualize different types of data, areas, statuses, and so on. So this new well snap is available in FieldTwin 8.0. We also have the ability now to view metadata on connection points. And this one is interesting because we once had a project with an FPSO that I think had something like 42 different riser hang-off points. And no one really knew which one to use because they were different. So we tried to figure out how can we make sure that it's possible for the user that wants to connect something, that you can get some information about this connection point. So right now, if you hover over a connection point, you see the metadata that is associated with that point. So this is a way to use that either to actually display some technical metadata parameters like this, or it could be simple information like oil, gas, water injection, gas injection, and so on, and give additional information to a connection point. If you want to go in and manipulate the metadata on a connection point, previously you had to go into edit connection point mode and click this point. But now you can just right click and then you're straight into the metadata and into the socket editor. So that's a shortcut that we have added in 8.0, and it will probably make life a little bit easier when it comes to connection points. The span estimation tool is not a new one, but it's there. So I'm just gonna show it again as a curiosity. The ability to select the pipeline created in FieldTwin that has zero intelligence when it comes to physical attributes or span can then easily be transformed using this span estimation tool. The ability to then do a calculation, an estimation, and then apply this span to the pipeline to then get some sort of more, I don't know what to call it, closer to reality, physical appearance on this pipeline. I know that some of our users have been trying to test this span estimation tool towards other FEA analysis tools to see how it reacts, and the results are pretty good. So we're excited about that. And here, another small feature that we have in 8.0 is the ability to measure the relative length on the pipeline. So if you click a pipeline, the mouse pointer will give you the KP position. So now you always had this feature down here in the what we call the connection profile area, but now you can also do it on the stage. So if you put your mouse, you can see the relative distance to the start point up to that point, and also the depth from the bathymetry file. So that's also a new feature from 8.0. Just going to close my windows here. And then if we come up here, I see a green pin. And can we see the speed video again? So I click the green pin. It's the same video, and we can take a look at it again if we want to. But what I really want to demonstrate with this green pin is the ability to, when you upload documents or files to an object in FieldTwin, you have the ability to select, do you want to associate the document with all existing assets of the same type? That means if you click a Christmas tree, and let's say you have 16 of them, and then you upload maybe a PNID or some other associating document, then you can choose to say, I want this document to also be available for the other 15 trees in the same project. So it allows for an easier handling of document upload. So that's why this green pin is there. So if you travel a little bit more, I'm going a bit fast, but I have 20 minutes, so I hope it's okay. Here, there's a slide that's been hidden. So we have an easy visualization for marketing. It's not only marketing, but also people that just want to take a look at something that looks nice, I guess. So we call it the pretty button. And the pretty button is there. So now, this is the traditional 3D rendering in FieldTwin. If you click the pretty button, we add on some effects to the 3D model that will give you a little bit more shade, a little more of global illumination, that everything looks a little bit more real. And if you start to zoom out, you can see that it looks better. It just pops out a little bit better. And the performance is not that much worse on my small laptop. So you could work with the pretty button on at all times, of course, but you can also turn it on and off based on the performance of your computer. But it's a way to make things pop a little bit more if you want to present it somewhere. Yeah, you get it. And in addition to this, also maybe for marketing, maybe for presentation, we support now the ability to export selection of assets as a GLTF model. You can also export the entire design. So that means the whole project, everything in it, bathymetry, reservoir, wells, the lot, as a GLTF. Before we could do that as a shapefile, and it could be imported into a GIS system or a CAD tool. But now we can export everything in 3D as well. And if I just go here, for instance, select Christmas tree, and I select a jumper, and I select a plat. So this is now a selection. I can then go and say, export this selection as a GLTF. And it takes just a second to get that done. And there are a lot of different GLTF viewers out there. A lot of engines support it. It's starting to become a standard. And PowerPoint is one. So you could easily bring these GLTF models into PowerPoint. So this is a presentation of a jumper. It's a selection that I made. But the beautiful thing about this is, as a viewer inside the PowerPoint, I can click it and I can rotate this thing and take a look at it from anywhere I want, because it is a fully 3D model of this jumper, tree, and plat. The same goes if you want a presentation of a plum. You have the same ability to then rotate this around and present this 3D model inside PowerPoint. And you could actually take the whole project. So this is bathymetry, it's a layout, it's topside assets, wells, and reservoir, and you can rotate this around in any angle you want, also in PowerPoint. You can also add controllers to this in PowerPoint with transitions and everything. It's just a way to demonstrate what you can do if you export these GLTF models from FieldTwin. So back to FieldTwin. I'm gonna try and show you a little bit if I actually add this parent project. So this parent project you see here is every object that exists in the SODIR map repository. They changed name recently. So there's a lot of objects in this, and not everything is easy to see, but there's a lot of these small templates and Christmas trees all over the place. And if I multi-select a huge part of this, it takes maybe a second to select the whole thing. If you did this in 7.1, you basically probably could go and take a coffee, almost, because it took a long time to do. But now it's super responsive and very fast. And I think for those of you that want to select a lot of objects when you work with FieldTwin, you will notice this enormous speed change, especially for this. And if you want to generate a schematic view and you have a lot of parent project information linked into your project, we have added the possibility now to exclude parent information. So if I select this Christmas tree as an example, I can now exclude parent tags. So this allows you then to exclude the existing infrastructure if your existing infrastructure has tags, so you don't get them in your schematic view of your current work. So that's something that we have gotten quite a lot of RFCs from our clients about. And then the last thing we have in the viewer is the ability to go to a specific position. And it might be useful because sometimes you have an Excel sheet or someone says you need to create something in this location. And it's hard to get to that location because none of us can in real time navigate a UTM coordinate system. So this allows you to punch in these coordinates and you will then go to this position. So if I punch in 0.0, I will then be able to transport myself to 0.0. And what's here? Some more slides. So this is the last part. I want to talk a little bit about the foundation for the future. So by bringing this event stream database into FieldTwin, we could now start to look at branches. And this is something that we have been working on. And this will behave similar to normal software source control at GitHub, the ability to then define main branch and create new branches from there to then be able to create new studies, new options, versions, whatever, and then the ability to compare these branches and decide which one do you favor, and then merge the changes from these new branches into your main branch. And now that will be the current main branch. So this is something that will allow for this quite advanced way of working, especially when you have collaborative groups working with different types of studies, and it's very interesting. The roadmap for Q2, we are looking now to finalize FieldTwin report, the ability to report on any data object inside FieldTwin in the way you want it, and also visualize the results of that report using different library of graphs. We are doing a well console add-on, which Tim will talk about later today, to add more functionality into the well side of FieldTwin to allow more visualization of wells and also more reporting and design of well data. We are currently working on an ROV survey integration that would allow people to upload or connect our ROV videos, and then the ability to navigate these videos geospatially. So you can then zoom in on an area in your project and then see the ROV paths that are going in your vicinity, and then be able to look at the video from a certain point and get that information. So that's it's a very interesting integration we're currently doing. And then also the connection editor that will give us a new connection type. And this connection type will have the main ability is that you can you can split a connection up into multiple real segments, and each segment can have a very specific design. So it gives you the ability to have parametric design on a part of a connection. You can have a bend radius on another part, and maybe a more spline part at the end. It will give you the ability to create a riser configuration that fluently goes into a rigid pipe that has a real straight element, and so on. And it also gives us the ability to export this data with some parametric records as well. And we hope that this will give us the ability to create all the different connection types, mooring types, riser types, jumper types that we see that our clients want. So that's also an exciting add-on that we're working on right now. And that was it for me. Thank you. Should I stop sharing or? I can't hear anyone.
Yeah, there is no question. If there is any question, please just type it into the chat, and you can find the chat with this little bubble chat symbol.
All right, thank you. Then I guess it's Greg. Talk a little bit about the upgrade part.
So thank you. Yeah, I've got the easy task. My goal is to explain a little bit on the process to get the update, which I'm sure after seeing that you all want, or some of you might have already. So the 8.0 release is now available. I know a number of you have both production, QA, and sometimes even development tenants. So we've tried to roll these out, 8.0 out early to those customers, so they've been able to do some testing, particularly with the API, because we have more and more people doing internal developments with our API, which is fantastic. So there is a process for requesting and getting 8.0. Everyone should have an assigned customer success manager. The recommendation is, of course, to get in touch with this person directly, either through the weekly meeting or bi-weekly meetings that you have, or just direct by email to officially request 8.0, and you will be placed in the queue. We're rolling it out one by one so that we won't do a batch update of everyone. But if you can make the request directly to your CS, so myself, John, Roman, or Andrew and others, please make the request and we'll advise on a preferred time and date. Arrange that with you. Typically the time will be for your out of office work. So you can actually get the update overnight while no one is officially working in FieldTwin. Although we do see some midnight activity, which is great as well. So we won't discourage that, but we'll provide a date and time when you can get the update. And the release notes are available online if you need additional information. All the documentation online is always comprehensive. It now includes all the documentation on these new features, which Jostein has already demoed. But again, get in touch with your CS or consultant, and they can answer any specific questions you might have if you want to have a discussion before the upgrade takes place. Particularly those using the API, we're happy to help with any specific technical questions on that side. And that's it for me. Again, I have the easy job. I'm going to hand over to Tim next, who's going to provide an update on the well schematic details. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. I'll just share my screen. I hope that you'll be able to see it okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to do a short presentation about how FieldTwin is currently used in subsurface, so in drilling in wells, and then also go through the functionality that we're planning to add into the core of FieldTwin. So I'll just go through the existing features that we have. So in FieldTwin, you have the ability to import well trajectories, This can be in an XYZ format or using compass files. Once you've imported the trajectory, you can then edit this and update it inside of FieldTwin. We allow for multi-bore well configuration, and you can use custom attributes for different well types, such as projection, water injection, etc., with a customizable reference level, so either C or seabed or RKB. You can view and visualize segments along the wellbore or different sections. So you can see the casing, maybe different valves inside of the well itself. These can be visualized using segments or shapes along the wellbore, which can then in turn have their own metadata, which is connected to that. So this can show areas of interest, such as your perforation zones or your reservoir, for example. And you can also show data and visualize data along the wellbore. So this is typically uploaded using a CSV file and can contain data related to, for example, the temperature along the wellbore, maybe pressure profiles, maybe highlight some integrity risks. And all of this can be done via the API as well to visualize this data. And we've also been working with our customers and partners to build a well data model. So for some of our existing integrations with PETEX, for example, there's a whole metadata library that comes along with that. So you can fill in the correct metadata that goes along with the different parts of your wellbore, so that then this data can be used for simulations in Olga or PETEX. And then you can also view your reservoir as a 3D surface, and also layers within the subsurface. You can view them as 3D layers, and these can be rendered either as colors, or you can use a color gradient, basically showing the areas of interest within the subsurface. And then there are other FieldTwin features that are related to the subsurface. So for example, you could link documentation management systems to the particular elements within the wellbore. And this can be done like via documentation systems such as PIMS, that we have an integration to. You can then also upload video, images, and other reports to that particular object along the wellbore. You can then use also our workflow application, so you can assign people tasks related to your well. And then as I mentioned before, we have these color-coded well segments, so you can basically highlight particular issues or risks along a wellbore and link documents to them. And at the moment, the visualization along the wellbore is quite a manual process. So we're looking to build our well console tool or application that can then speed up this process by connecting to third-party data sources more easily, and also being able, allowing the user really to input the data themselves and use FieldTwin in more of the design process and visualization for the subsurface. So here are some UI examples that we're working on. So you'll be able to create and view well profiles, visualize their architecture, look at the well barrier schematics, and get a comprehensive understanding of your well in context with the entire field. So we have some mock-ups here. This is how we plan for it to look. So on the left here, we have a view of FieldTwin, and the well console will have 5 different tabs. So the first one will be the well design. So that will have your trajectory information and also your casing design, so that in a table view you can populate your casing and render the casing and cement basically as segments inside of FieldTwin, so you can see them in 3D in the 3D viewport really easily. And then the second tab will be a hazard registry. So at different points along the well, there could be hazards that you face or lessons learned, and this would be a way to basically visualize them along the wellbore. This can be viewed as shape, or also you could then create workflow tasks relating to that. So if you're in the execution phase and you're using FieldTwin during that, it could be that you want to create workflow tasks related to the well path that you want to bring in other parts of your team, other parts of your organization to view that well, or aspects of that well within FieldTwin. And then we're going to have like a completion design section, so you can create all the different elements within your wellbore, so you can view the different elements, so the different valves, perforations, for example. You'll be able to set the to and from depth, and then you can set how you want to visualize it, whether it's a well segment or a shape, or in the future possibly a 3D asset inside of the wellbore itself. And then on the next part, you'll be able to view a lithological table, so you can get the stratigraphy into your model. And then also as an export, or as an outcome of this, based on all the information that you've put in so far, connected to your well, connected to the metadata and data models that are involved, we plan to be able to create a well barrier schematic, which we're planning to fit to the NORSOC standard, so that then you can quickly maybe import data quickly into FieldTwin and then get this export really quickly, if that is needed. Okay, so yeah, this is well console. This is what we're planning to develop in the coming weeks and months. And I've already started to reach out with the help of Greg and the customer success team to our clients to gauge interest about these new features, receive their feedback as it is being developed, so that we can basically cater to as many of our clients as possible as it is being developed. Okay, so yeah, that's everything I plan to share.